see white lies dancing between the lines. She's an atheist. Carousels in her mind, spinning all in her eyes. She's an atheist.
Hello and welcome to the Digital Freethought Radio Hour on WOZO Radio 103.9 LPFM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're recording this on Sunday morning, August 8th, 2021. I'm Larry Rhodes, or Doubter 5, and as usual, we have our co-host Wombat on the line with us. Hello, Wombat.
It's me, you, and we're two awesome gooses on the pond. Honk, honk.
Okay. Honk, honk. And with us today, we have several guests. George, the 2.5. How are you?
Oh, I'm good.
The John Richards and Swedish Steve. Hello, hello. Special guest with us today is Rakshith Sridharan, from all the way from India. So we have England, Swedish, Tennessee 3 times, and India today. So multicultural, an international show for sure. Digital Freethought Radio Hour is a talk radio show about atheism, free thought, rational thought, humanism, and the sciences. And conversely, we'll also talk about religion, religious faiths, gods, holy books, and superstition. What are we talking about today there, Wombat?
We're going to be talking about our new guest, Rakshith, today. We're going to learn all about him and understand some really interesting obstacles that he's overcome. And I want to dive into it, but before we do, how about we just do a quick, super fast, no one's ever going to even notice it. It's going to be super fast, super quick, just summary of everyone's lives in like 30 seconds. John Richards, I've been seeing you on YouTube. You've been popping up like multiple times on my channel throughout the week. How you been? And what have you been up to?
The place at the moment, aren't I? We had an Atheism UK AGM yesterday, and they elected me president. So I'm officially the president of Atheism UK now.
Nice.
And,
Congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Yes, thank you. And then today I've already been on a long show with Harris Sultan on my channel, Freethought Productions, and his. We're co-hosting. And I can't remember his channel is called Sultan's House of Sin.
Very good name. I like it. Sultan's House of Sin. I love the alliteration there.
Yes, there you go. So that's enough about me for the moment.
John Richards, you're now the president. How long until your first impeachment? Are you going to go for record?
I don't know. I'm president for this year. You have to be elected every year. So
very cool. Very cool. George, 2.5. How you been?
Oh, I've been okay. Struggling with my Linux computers. As usual. As usual. Yeah.
Oh no. After selling them up.
What religion says that we make our own hell on earth?
We make our own hell on earth. That's right.
Linux computer was your choice. And you're
hell is other people and Linux computers. That's basically what it is. Well, keep it up. I hope Google can be your friend without taking all your data. You know, like I hope
no, Google will not be my friend, but it is sort of. Yeah,
it is useful. Swedish Steve, how do du?
Det är bra.
Mycket bra.
I've had an interesting week where a Mormon called me. I don't know why.
Cool.
But he stood me up when I invited him home to me. So,
were you not blonde enough? Was that it?
No idea. I asked if he would like to come and talk about Darwin, but no.
Wait, what would a conversation about Darwin begin? How would that even start? How do you start a friendly conversation about Darwin with a Mormon?
It's going to be rough because this was an American Mormon and they are sensitive. But I would said something, are you stupid? Can't you see? And then I would just bombard him with some statistic about different things.
Yeah. Now, here's the real question. Would you have your throwing axe in your hand as you're talking to him, or would you at least leave it next to your throwing hammers?
Oh, we have mead axes. It's or mead hammer. So I will blunt him to death afterwards.
Very cool. We like you, Swedish Steve. You need to come back on the show more regularly. Larry Rhodes, my friend.
Yes.
How have you been? What's your shirt? What is your shirt? First, explain the shirt, and then
got old cars and stuff on it, palm trees. It's like a Hawaiian shirt.
Okay.
But
How you been?
I'm 71, so I'm staying home most of the time, especially with this new COVID outbreak, the Delta variant and all that. Trying to stay in, trying to stay safe. And we did take a trip yesterday down to Townsend in Tennessee to get some barbecue. There's a place down there we like, but it was closed. Nice. And we drove all the way down there. It was a pretty drive all the way back. But we did get to some Mexican food, so that was good.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I went down to KFC and I was like, I can't wait to get back into this buffet. I feel like things are opening up again. KFC's closed. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll just go to the Arby's next door. No dining in the Arby's and like half the menu. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll just go to Wendy's. We are shut down for COVID. I was like, still? Oh my gosh, what is going on?
Sometimes they open and come back and then close again. But that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's where we're at. But it's for the greater cause of trying to stay alive, if anything.
Yeah.
Rakshith. One more time. Unmute yourself and then introduce me to yourself, my friend. Introduce yourself to us.
You're
on mute, my friend.
You need to unmute.
There you go.
Sorry. Okay, so I am from India. I am from India, and so it's been like I don't necessarily say it as a journey, but I was always a more open-minded and like reading many things, knowing many things. I used to follow. I was always a kind of skeptic in many ways. I liked questioning. I liked being curious. So, from my childhood, I used to read many things. I used to read about geology or about, science or in general, many things, even history for that matter. So what happened is even Hindu scriptures I used to read. So honestly speaking, so many people don't even know what is there in the Hindu scriptures, but I was fortunate to read some of them. So in that way, I used to have a comparison with Hindu scriptures on one side, scientific things on one side, and then I used to compare and see what is the rationale, how it's acceptable in society. And then from then on, I started looking at more a liberal way of philosophies. I even read Vedanta and all those sort of things. But still, I felt like, hey, you know what? These things may not be required ultimately. I mean, I felt like we are ultimately humans, and human body is what matters at the end of the day. I thought that direction started me taking to reading, and so that made me convinced that you know what, it's better to be a skeptic and rational rather than being like falling for any of the things. And one of the things did motivate me a lot was the amount of fake news in the name of Hinduism that was being spread online. I mean, I don't know whether how many of you know it or not, but in India, it's like going like a flood, literal flood of shits. Okay. So, you will be comparing. See, we recently Olympics happened and some of our sportsmen won the medals for us. But if there is a Hindu YouTube channel, they say, look, these Olympic people are doing namaste. See, they won the medal. So that means they literally need sort of justify. I'm just talking about the fringe writing. I'm not naming any particular one, but I'm just mentioning a group, fringe, which I would like to say.
I want to make sure.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure there's so many things that you just brought up right now. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to weigh in on this. John, what was the comment that you want to throw in?
Yeah, well, Rakshith is perfectly right, isn't he? Humans are quite nice, and the small ones make very good pets.
Yes. So I was like, one of the worst thing that happened last year, I think I need to bring this up. So this was, I think, September 3rd last year. I remember the date, thankfully. Armin Nawabi is an ex-Muslim atheist from Iran. He runs this Atheist Republic. Okay. So that's organization in Canada. So he stays in Canada right now as well. He actually, earlier few days back, he even, he tore the Quran apart. He even ate Bible's pages, even ate Quran's pages. So people were like, especially the fringe writing Hindus, they were literally clapping. Wow, that's great, right? But the moment he posted sexy Kali photo, saying they're showing in a, not in a, maybe what an average, say, an Orthodox or ultra-Orthodox Hindu would perceive as blasphemous, or say something like a nude photo, okay? The people went really berserk. I don't have words, literally, okay? I was like, what the heck? He just posted a photo. And I mean, if you're really talking about Hindu philosophy, someone is really concerned. They say that images don't matter, that don't matter.
But actually, just to put some context on this, because we do broadcasts out to Tennessee, so they're like, what is going on? Well, basically, just so everyone's caught up, you got Hindus in India, and just north of that, you have a lot of Muslims. And so there's a lot of intercultural between two religions that don't get along at all. And you can think of it as angels and athletics if you're in California, except with a lot more higher death count. If you want to go for that. But basically, these guys don't get along, but there's a double standard for how they're treated. So for a lot of Orthodox Hindus, they will laud or celebrate when someone disrespects Quran or Islam. But as soon as that person uses the same tools to try to critique or, lambast Hinduism, those people get very upset. So there's a double standard there. And Larry, it sounded like you want to say something. Are you on mute, Mike?
Yes, I was just having a hard time understanding him. Your accent is a little hard for me to get past.
You need to go to a science lab, because this I know this guy. I live and breathe this accent for all grad school.
Yeah. But I guess you're talking about Pakistan, aren't you? With the Muslim majority.
For me, there's a lot of different areas where there's concentrations of Islam in northern India, but like there's even Punjab region, which is very well. Why should I talk? Rakesh, would you mind? Talking about the geography. Would you mind just quickly outlining like the geography and like how these places relate to each other and like how it is multicultural?
So let's put it honestly. There is something called as Hindi belt in North. Hindi is a language spoken in North. In South, where I stay, I won't specify where, but I'll just say I stay in South India. So here there is languages which is vastly different from Hindi. Okay, very different dialects and linguistic. Then go to Eastern India, it's same the story. Northeast India, same story. West, also same story. There is Gujarati, Marathi, and all those sort of things. And Pakistan has Urdu, and Afghanistan has Pashto. Bangladesh, for example, has Bengali as the language. So Bengali is also vastly different from Hindi and other things. So, linguistic diversity is huge. But just like Pakistan government thinks of Urdu-centered this thing, Indian government, at least at the present Indian government, I would say, and even some of the previous Indian government, has always thought Hindi-centered sort of administration. Now, given the linguistic diversity, I just don't think it's something logical to work with. Okay, this is my perspective. Also, coming back to Armin Nawabi, where I was just stuck. Okay, so let me continue. What happened afterwards? These people literally gave death threats. They made, pornographic photo of his real mother. I mean, to defend a fake mother, fake goddess, which no one has seen. You try and do pornographic photo of his mother, real mother, of Armin Nawabi's. Okay, they did it, and they hacked this Atheist Republic accounts, Twitter accounts, and then they also did like there is one actress called Kangana Ranaut. John, do you remember? Hello, John.
Hello. Yes.
So tomorrow, when you do live stream with Harris, do mention this lady called Kangana Ranaut. She spews the venom, as you call, like anything.
Well, you've missed it, unfortunately. We live streamed today, a couple of hours ago.
Oh, you did it today? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was for Sunday. Okay. Yeah. I thought maybe I just got confused. Fine.
No. Join in next week, and then you can either
Yeah. So
put a comment
this
in the
lady
text or come on screen.
spewed so much venom that Twitter got her banned. And the reason for ban, I will tell you what is that. Last week, what she posted was after Bengal elections was she tagged Modi and told, "Why don't you show the form, the angry form which you showed it during Gujarat riots? Why don't you show it now?" She tagged Modi in Twitter. That was one reason why the Twitter account got blocked. Sure. Because Modi has a very controversial history of Gujarat riots, 2002.
So Rakshith, you got very, very high level complaints about Hindu, and I'm totally for like the idea of like, hey, check this out. There's double standards, there's hypocrisy, there's clearly bias, and it's just not fair and it's not cool. But we're trying to follow along too. The thing is, the terminology is like, I get the vibe. We're with you on the riot. It's just the specifics is like, one of the things that we're kind of reading off from. But I can tell you, like, even from our own cultures, from our neck of the woods, we have incidents where there is bias and double standards.
I agree.
Maybe what I would like to do is hear from examples of that. So I'm throwing up to Swedish Steve. He's been real good. I'm thinking like, you got Swedish churches that are part of the state that they pay taxes to, but not a lot of people take that church, what they say, seriously. Like, is that ever a conflict for you? And has anyone ever tried to do anything about that? Or
the tax is a separate thing nowadays. Since
really?
2000, yeah. So
is
if
it
you
voluntary?
you can leave it. I don't pay. But the hypocrisy is more in the area of the free churches, the really weird ones. They say God loves everybody, but they condemn gay priests and even women priests, female priests.
Yeah, we have that too. We had when we went to I think Larry and I went to a pride rally way back when, and we're marching down the streets as atheists supporting, the rights of gay people.
The right.
And you had a church in front of us and a church behind us, both with signs supporting gay rights on either side of us. And you had the same church Christians on the side of the roads holding up signs being like, "You guys are evil." And I'm like, I trust those guys because they have the citations on their poster boards. Like, there's no question what's actually going on. We just want to feedback from everybody else. John, Richard, what you got?
Yeah, so what is it that gives these religious people the right to judge, to make decisions like that? About
God.
Who's
gives them
evil?
the judge.
Is it? Oh, right. Well, interestingly, this week just gone, Bishop Robert Barron, somewhere in your neck of the woods, I think he's a Baptist, he's complaining because the Tokyo Olympics opening ceremony played John Lennon's Imagine.
Oh,
he doesn't like the words. He doesn't like the words. He likes the music and the singing and the arrangement, but no. How does it go? Imagine there's no heaven. He doesn't like that. No hell below us. He doesn't like that. He wants those things to be real.
Yeah. It was very scary because I was on the phone. I was on a call with Scott yesterday. We're watching the Jehovah's Witness convention, and they are very clear that they believe in demons, and they talk about them as if it was like rain outside. And I just thought to myself, how bizarre is that? But then you take a step back, and it's like that's the prevailing belief of Christians, that demons exist. Right. Mm-hmm. They interact with people on a regular basis, and that doesn't freak anybody out. Like, that's weird.
Well,
I don't know. It's weird.
On my last week, not yesterday's Global Atheist News Show, but the one before, I show a clip of a Greek Orthodox, this is a variation of Christianity, exorcism. And the poor guy who's demonized and needs to be exorcised is crawling along on his hands and knees with a priest sat on his back. When he has to stop periodically and hit the ground and I don't know, explain that he's getting rid of his demon. And when he eventually collapses, the priest stands on him.
Oh no! Okay.
And the church bell goes bong.
He survives?
Yeah, I hope so. George, second in the half. You know, you keep telling me I have no idea what's going on in the world because you were raised organically atheist. You never had a chance to be, you know, converted into a religion. You just stayed a fruit on the stem, more or less. And does any of this is there any way that we can explain this to you, like the idea of people actually believing in real demons, and you can take it at face value, or is this all just bizarre?
Yes, it is so bizarre to me, and I can't explain it. I am utterly perplexed living here in the Bible Belt. It's such a strange experience for me.
George, you would love going to Sweden. It would blow your mind just to have that weight removed of like the religion.
Well, you know, I come from New York, where it's more of a melting pot. I mean, it's a very Catholic city, New York is, and yet, but it's like somehow a lot of people tend to get along with each other.
Sure.
So I just didn't grow up with a whole lot of us versus them mentality. And that's what I'm confronted with a lot here, I think, is, you know, in groups and out groups, and, you know, we're the good guys and those guys are the bad guys.
Larry, you want to weigh on that? Us versus them mentality. Is it possible that religion fosters that kind of idea?
Oh, it could happen. I mean, all you got to do is look at Northern Ireland. They're all Christian, and they still try to kill each other on small dogmatic differences that they have.
That we need to get an Irish person here, because that's actually a really good conversation. It's like, you guys are both Christian and you both don't like each other. It's like, no, because they're slightly different Christians than us.
Yep.
Maybe it's just a human nature thing, guys.
Isn't that the general idea of the psychology behind the religion? That we are better than them because
we're the chosen people.
Yeah.
The whole reason.
I've got a word for this. My word for this is religionism, because it makes it sound like racism, which it is.
Yeah, that's right.
I like that.
I like it.
You know, if I have to tell specific, the worst part is people searching for the caste of our sportsmen, religion of our sportsmen.
Yes,
that's the worst. You know,
so people who look for caste systems, like ways to structure people based on how valuable they are essentially using religion to reinforce that. And religion's supposed to be like, hey, everyone's equal.
The entire structure of Hinduism, what you call like it, they might try justifying it that it is based on meritocracy. It's all BS. That's not the case. In reality, it's a hierarchical structure, and one group has to dominate over the other.
Yes,
something like that. Okay.
Right.
For the benefit of the Americans and the Swede here, India is playing England at cricket at the moment. We're involved in a test series. The first game was partially rained off, and it was declared to be a draw. But there's going to be some division in the next few games.
Very cool. Okay, there's your sports update, John Ritzes. I appreciate it. Larry, hey, we're at the bottom of the half hour. Why don't you take us out and come back after the break?
Okay. This is the Digital Freethought Radio Hour. We're on WOZO Radio, 103.9 LP FM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And we'll be right back after this short break.
To the curious, the inquisitive, the seekers of knowledge, to the ones who just want to know about life, about the universe, about yourself. Not cute questions, big questions, ones that matter. To the rebels, the artists, the free thinkers, and the innovators, who care less about labels and more about truth, who believe nonconformity is more than a bumper sticker, that knowledge is more than words on a page. You're young, you're old, you're powerful beyond measure, and the fuel of that power is not magic or mysticism, but knowledge. The things you see, the things you feel, the things you know to be true. Sure, some will doubt you. Let them. Dare to think for yourself, to look for yourself, to make up your own mind. Because in the eternal debate for answers, the one thing that's true is the power of logic.
Hello and welcome back to the second half of the Digital Freethought Radio Hour. I'm Doubter 5. And we're on WOZO Radio, 103.9 LP FM here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Today is Sunday morning, August 8th, 2021. Now let's talk about the Atheist Society of Knoxville, or ASK. Founded in 2002, we're in our 19th year. ASK has over 1,000 members, and we have weekly Zoom meetings during COVID, but we've also started meeting in person again at the Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria in Knoxville's Old City, out on the patio. We're usually there about 5:30 to 8 on Tuesday evenings. Hope you can join us. You can find us online on Facebook, on Meetup, or just go to knoxvilleatheist.org for more information. You can also just Google Knoxville Atheists. It's that simple. By the way, if you don't live in Knoxville, you should still go to Meetup and do a search for an atheist group in your town. Don't find one? Start one. That's right. Wombat, word we want to pick up.
Hey, we're talking to our friend Rakshith, who's one of our new guest members, and we're going to be talking Hinduism and issues that we've been having with it. Maybe we even talk about how to start your own atheist group. So Rakshith, Rakshith.
Yeah.
We might just call you Rocky. That'd be good too.
There you
But
go.
anyway,
That's okay.
Rocky,
You
let
can
me
just
tell
call
you.
me Rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Nice,
should be
nice.
fine. Yeah, as a short
Rocky,
term.
tell me about Hinduism. What's Hinduism 101? Can you help us out with this? Like, I know there are many gods, many gods, but beyond that, I'm not.
The fundamental things. Okay. Then let's get back to simple thing. Hinduism has many books, unlike other religion. Okay, it has many texts, but primary, I would say Vedas are the primary text.
The Vedas.
They outline the basic
books of truth
principles and all those sort of things. Then you have Puranas, Shastras. I think the most popular one I see Bhagavad Gita, most popular one. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's kind of basic to start with. What are the texts? Then you have a society, a system. So it is a caste system, or people call it Varna system, whatever you like to call it, division of society. And then you have
division into society, in like military. You are allowed to be doctors, you're allowed to be janitors based on your last name and your upbringing.
It's kind of like hereditary profession based. So generation to generation one, even though you may not have capable, but it's hereditary by birth.
Yeah. So based on who your family was, that determines who your job can be.
Yeah. So if a father is a king, more likely that his son will also be a king. If your father was a priest or a person who is what we call as Brahman, okay, your son will also be a Brahman priest.
Yeah, which is a high tier in the caste system.
Yeah. My ancestors, the British colonists, it was a business rather than.
Hold on, did you say colonist or colonist, like cooks?
Colonists.
I'm going through an accent. A little.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I had to switch gears.
This is nothing to do with the colon. Thank you.
Okay.
keep that out of it. That's a dirty word. So
not
anyway,
culinary. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, not culinary either. No. Colon. No. Let's get away from that. The thing is that my ancestors, for which I accept no responsibility, took advantage of the Indian caste system by appointing the top castes as agents of the crown. It was called indirect rule. We said, you guys are already bosses here, so you can now work for us. It was a cunning
Very
tactic.
mafia-esque. Very mafia-esque, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
For around 800 years, you guys really did know how to rule. It was really great. It was just like, hey, I'm going to take this castle, but I'm going to give it back to you. It'd be a shame if anything happened to it again, right? It's like, that's right. You listen to me, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like a pyramid scheme.
You got
it's
it.
Like a caste scheme. You look at the caste scheme, it is a pyramid.
And then we used, I say we, as I say, I don't accept any responsibility for this, but the Bible was used in West Africa, particularly as a very good colonizing tool.
Sure.
You know, you don't have to kill anybody, and it's cheaper than bullets. Not only that, once you've got them hooked, they'll pay for them. They'll buy them off you in order to control their own sub-level of population below the major boss, which in that case was probably Queen Victoria.
Sure. I will throw this out. In America, we do have something kind of similar to a caste system where it's just how much money did your parents have? And the more money they have, the less laws apply to you, the more you can buy yourself out of fines, the more you can easily persuade people to vote you into office, and you can change rules and legislation to benefit you and your niche needs so that you basically live in a higher tier or a different reality than a lot of other people. It's really unfortunate. I would like to see Swedish Steve, is it a similar system? Like, I know there actually is royalty, but no one really cares about the royalty in Sweden. But like, how does the social hierarchy work? Is it just money, or is there something else there too?
No, they have no privilege, or the king and queen has, and the crown princess. But the titles and everything like that, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a fancy way for us to say, here, look at them, instead of the shabby old politicians we have. Like if we sent our prime minister, or how you suppose, like, yeah, here's an old communist with socialists' idea about how to run a country. It's not really working well. So instead we have a stupid king that just nods and
The other thing with Sweden, and feel free to correct me on this, is that like politics are very complicated in the makeup, not so much in like what they agree to. Because in America we have two parties, right? It's an unfortunate system, but we have a two-party system, blue and red, and that's it. In Sweden, it's like 50 shades of blue.
Yeah.
Or 100. There's like literally hundreds of different parties, and they all have to come to forums to agree. And none of it could be like one person for every party, 200 people in a room, and it's like, how are we going to come to tears with anything? Is that pretty accurate? Sweden?
That's really accurate. And now it's even worse, because we kicked the prime minister and this party because they wanted to make it easier to kick someone's an employed person. So then the communists just kicked them.
But I think the good thing about that is you don't have career politicians who are like, the Ted Cruz's of the world, where it's like, you did such a bad job, but I know you're going to be hired next year, right? Or next 4 years from now. Yeah. The faces are always changing. And because of that, they don't have higher standard of protection in society than anybody else. Yeah.
No. They have it much worse. we had a party leader. She forget to pay for like a small candy bar, and out she went. Nobody's seen her since then.
Oh man! So, speaking of candy bars, John Richards, do you have anything you can show us?
I don't know whether I might have put it in the bin since then. I don't know. Let's have a look. There you go.
Hey.
This is our sponsor, guys.
Yeah.
It's got hazelnuts in it and chocolate on the outside and a bit of sweetness in between.
Yeah, makes really good radio.
What made me think of it? yes. What made me think of it is every week somebody comes onto the WhatsApp and says, "What's the topic?" So here you go. This is the topic.
No, whoever says that is never me. It's always typically you, for the most part.
Often me, yes.
Often you, right? All right.
Yes.
So anyway, sorry for that little excursion radio listeners. We just showed a candy bar and it was kind of funny. George, I want to make sure that you get a chance to weigh in on this. Have you've been to New York, you've been to Tennessee, you've seen, in my head, like both sides of the spectrum in terms of cultural life in the US. Have you noticed a lot of different kinds of tiers of hierarchy in terms of social dynamics? Are you still here? He might be even out. Anyway, we'll head it up to Rakshith then. Rocky, tell me more about Hinduism and life as a Hindu.
Yeah.
Or former Hindu.
Or atheist groups
or as an atheist
in that area.
How did you start an atheist group? Yeah.
So in Hinduism, the whatever system we like to call, Hindus call it as Varna system. Translated roughly in English, we call it as caste system. So it is something kind of sacredly ordained, sacredly by God's will. So that is Bhagavad Gita, I think chapter 4, Krishna says, this entire system comes from me, So it's like direct from God, this caste. system. Okay, and it's considered as one's sacred duty to follow this. That's the point. Versus in other societies, it need not be sacred. Here it's sacred.
No. Yeah, it's ordained morality, more or less. It's like, do this not because I'm explaining to you why it's right, but because I said it's right.
Right. Authoritarianism.
Yes, indirectly, yes. Yeah.
Authoritarianism. Yeah.
And
so you are now an atheist openly. Are you allowed to be in your area? And if you have you found a way to make a community?
To be honest, I do have friends. Let me be honest. I do run a YouTube channel called Ex-Hindu Atheists, and I did share it with John.
Yes.
So I do my lives. Yesterday I had one live, and the live was, I don't think many audience will understand what that live was about, but it was about something very, very nasty as well. So you can just check it out there. Specifically, I will share the video. But the main thing for me was like, if you ask me, I'm still a skeptic as well, a skeptic and rational, like all atheists would be, because I still think that that's the basic foundation of understanding things. So coming back to Hinduism, I would say like the Vedas kind of are the authority. Of course, if you were to speak to today's Hindu, he will deny, oh no Vedas. But the point is, most of the rituals which Hindus practice today, whether it's being like performing that fire sacrifice or Havan or Yajna or whatever you like to call it, they all have derived from Vedas. And then you have festivals, lot of festivals in Hinduism. I would say some of them are cultural, but some of them are...
Holi? Is Holi one of them? Do they count? Holi?
Yes, there is, but most of them like are either like some are cultural, but some are specific days for special person.
Okay.
Like birthday of Ram, birthday of Krishna, like that, some specific days.
I want to just make some clarifications. He's saying Vedas, V-E-D-A-S.
Vedas, V-E-D-A-S.
Yeah.
The literal books of truth for Hinduism. And also, he had made a mention of Pakistan speaking Urdu. My sister's in Pakistan, and what's cool is Urdu, Hindi, very similar. Like you can understand one another.
Spoken very, very similar.
But the writing is completely different. The writing is completely different. So if you go to Pakistan, it's written in a script that's functionally different, read left to right, I believe. Or
not left to right. It's right to left.
Right to left. Right. And then Hindu, other way around, but they all sound the same. It's like, what does it say? It's the same word. Why are they two different texts? Because culturally, the religion is so infused that there's no means of writing the same language. Like that's how infused it is into the religion. It's like literally how I describe myself and talk and speak is infused with the religion, and that's the separation between the two. It's just like we don't like them so much that we made our own language. Has the same spoken text, but we just made a new alphabet, and there it goes. And they're the ones that changed their stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy. Though, fun thing, if you want to learn two languages for one, learn Hindi, and then you can go to Pakistan and talk to everybody. It'll be okay.
So Rocky, Hindi is like written in a Devanagari script. So it's most people would not have heard of it. I don't think they will understand, but it's a kind of ancient script which is developed over a period of time, last 1,000 years or so. And then you have, apart from the Hinduism, you have festivals. I just mentioned some of them. Then there is something called as Tantrism. I mean, tantric practices.
I want to know about being an atheist in India. Like, is it open? Are you allowed to be? Is there fear on your part?
Look, the thing is, you might be atheist personally, but you can't propagate it in public. That's the point.
Under what kind of reporcations? What kind of consequences would happen to you?
We had a couple of rationalists who have been killed in the last 7 or 8 years. Some 4 or 5 of them have been killed by the fringe right-wing, fringe Hindu group, let's put it that way. Okay.
Wow.
And also speaking, personal life, you can be atheist, but the thing is, the moment you tell in public, I'm atheist, I don't believe in God, and I don't want to follow this ritual, people back of your behind, they'll be cursing you. Or if you ridicule certain things from scripture, which might be true, It's actually true if it's there in scripture, but you ridicule it. Then the repercussions are that there will be sedition law on you, or there will be some case against you, or there will be case like action of blasphemy against you. But that's mostly by the fringe Hindu groups who do it.
I got one last question about Hinduism. It's polytheistic, right? So like I've seen people believe in gods that look very, very nuanced to me. Is it possible to like say, hey, I believe in this set of Hindu gods, but not that one? And even though someone like really believes in that one, it's like, yeah, but I'm not going to believe in the god of laundry.
That does happen. That does happen.
Does that lead to conflicts? It's like, my god of laundry
picks
the stains out of my clothes every day. I don't believe. Like, I sound facetious, but it's actual thing.
True.
Rakshith, are the gods specialists or generalists? I mean, does Ganesh do all the same sort of services as, I don't know, Sexy Kali, for example? Or do they have their own little powers distinct from each other?
I mean, look, I think most generally what the problem is, Hinduism is not something like as a community taught in public. It all starts from family based. That's one thing we need to understand in the society. So usually if a child is there, he is being told that Ganesh is someone who is a signal of auspicious time and he removes the obstacles and those sort of things. And all those are. And you know, to be honest, Sexy Kali is there, which Hindus don't know. but that is a tantric practice.
That
Tantrism.
is very, it's community driven, it's culturally driven. So like basically what he's saying is like every generation will have a different impression of the same god. Similar to how we would have as Americans, Larry has his version of Spider-Man. I have my version of Spider-Man, Tom Holland, and maybe mine's Miles Morales. Let's go. And then somebody else would have their version of Spider-Man. We'd all talk, and I'd know we're generally talking about Spider-Man, but I know specifically he's thinking of a completely different one than I am. But we're willing to agree with each other if it means we can hate on the Iron Man team, right?
It depends whether you've seen Spider-Man 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
There you go. You have the Tobey Maguire.
One group of people who worship one god, like a Lord Vishnu group, considers Vishnu superior, and there is another group who consider Hindu god Shiva superior.
Right.
But there is a boss god, isn't there? There's a boss god that does the creating and destroying.
Isn't that Vishnu?
The creation is by Brahma. Unfortunately, there is no sect for Brahma. Nobody worships that. That's based on certain story that he was cursed.
So Larry, you got a confused look on your face, but we have, even in Christianity, it's very based on paganism, which came from more or less a lot of the gods from Sweden. Like the days of our week are essentially Norse gods,
right?
And so, like, I'll throw this one out. Do you have any familiarity with any of the pagan gods that we have as part of all culture?
About Egyptian god, then Zeus and.
Oh, that's so funny because when I say pagan, I don't think in my head Egyptian, but yes, that would qualify as a pagan god because it's just not a Christian god.
And then you have
right?
Mesopotamian god, and then you have Greek gods.
Yeah, you have the Greek gods, you have the Roman gods.
Even little bit of pre-Zoroastrian gods of Iran. And pre-Zoroastrian gods of Iran are very similar to Hindu Vedic gods.
Swedish Steve, are you familiar with any of these gods, or how?
Yeah.
Have you paid a lot of attention, or I know you understand them as a mythology, but like you're probably more well versed on like Thor and Tyrs than we are, and Loki and etc.
There are multiple that's similar, like Thor and Parjanya, the one with the sword that rides over the sky and creates thunder. It's a thunderstorm outside, so I'm a little bit occupied in my head.
It's a thunderstorm outside. I think the main takeaway is that like none of the pagans have a concrete, identical impression of who Thor is, who Odin is, who Loki is, even among the place where they came from. Like you talk to a different person, you're going to get a slightly different story each time. Is that pretty close?
Yeah. You have like the North one is more of Norway has the same one, but the further you come to Germany, the more exchanged. Oh. Yeah, I have to go and get some stuff inside.
Not an issue. We thank you for coming over.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well,
Why don't you fill in?
The thing I wanted to do is tell Steve about a Netflix series called The Almighty Johnsons that he might be interested in, because it's a group of like brothers, family who lives in New Zealand that happen to be displaced Norse gods.
Yeah.
And their powers are greatly diminished, but they still have them. And it's a lot of fun. And I thought he might be interested, but maybe when he watches
along
the
those same lines,
back.
If anyone had a chance to watch Bewitched, classic episodes of Bewitched still holds up. Elizabeth Montgomery, wonderful show. Mm-hmm. Guys, we're running towards the end of the show. John Richards, what happened to our sponsorship with Topic? I haven't seen anything happen to us. What's going on?
I've retired it. Gone in the bin.
He's made a presidential decision, executive order.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Why not?
It was short-lived. It was short-lived.
I was gonna say about my favorite gods. You know, I've got two. I've got in the interest of equality, I've got a female goddess, which is Cloacina. I like her because she keeps the sewers of Rome flowing smoothly. That's an essential job.
That's an essential job.
I like Unkalunkalu, who is the creator deity of the Zulu nation. I just like the sound of the name.
So if Dread Pirate was here, obviously we'd be talking about the great pasta in the sky. I don't know if the great Noodly Lord has his own name, but there you go. My favorite god in the world of mythology is Death, probably from the Game of Thrones universe, because you only have to say one thing to Death, and that's not today, and I love it. And it's like he doesn't ask anything else other than just that. I'm like, I dig it. I dig it. George, we've been talking a lot about gods today. Did you have a favorite one that you want to talk about? Nope. I can't hear you, my friend. Are you on mute? He's probably on mute. But it sounded like a no. Rakesh, thank you so much for joining us on the show today and letting us know more about your culture. Hope you stay safe. Props to you for showing out your full name. Is there anything you'd like to say before you head out?
You're on mute. Rocky, you're muted.
It's okay. It's okay. It looks a little hectic.
Hello. Yeah.
Hey.
So if you are keeping my last point, the only thing I can say is two things keep this Hinduism going. One is caste, other is the idea of spirit or Atma, which we like to call. That's foundation. That's the only two things that's like an engine oil which runs this. Okay. And then third are rituals. So these three things mainly. And if you talk about superstition, I won't mention just one. There are many of them.
Yeah. And Rakshith, you'd like to promote your YouTube channel, wouldn't you? Which is Ex-Hindu Atheists.
Yes.
Ex-Hindu Atheists. Very cool. You can find me on Let's Chat. This is you're most likely seeing it on YouTube now. We'll be here next week too, hopefully with more guests from around the world. Larry, what's going on with you? How have you been doing? I heard you're like this really big guy on atheism, but you haven't really told me what it's all about, so I don't understand what's going on.
I have a book to that effect.
What? Get out of town.
It's called Atheism.
Is it as cool as your shirt? Is it as cool as your shirt?
Oh, it's cooler than my shirt. It's called Atheism. What's it all about? It's available on Amazon. Most of my content that's in the book is in the digitalfreethought.com blog I have. So just go to digitalfreethought.com if you're interested. My YouTube channel is called Doubter 5 or Larry Rhodes. And if you have any questions for the show, send them by email to askanatheist@knoxvilleatheist.org. We'll answer them on future shows. If you're having trouble leaving religious beliefs behind, you can get help at recoveringfromreligion.org. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. This has been the Digital Freethought Radio Hour. Remember, everybody is going to somebody else's hell. The time to worry about it is when they prove that heavens and hells and souls are real. Until then, don't sweat it. Enjoy your life. Thanks very much for the special guest, Rakshith Sridharan. Probably butchered that, but we'll see you next week. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye from India. Have